Color is one of the most important tools we have in visual expression, especially when it comes to flooring.
Color theory is the study behind color and our first step in understanding why we see the colors we see. However, color temperature and CRI are two other variables that play into the way we see color. We will explore both of these individually in the following two videos.
All basic color theory stems from the color wheel. The color wheel was invented by Isaac Newton and consists of primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. These colors are high contrast and are most simple. Secondary colors consist of green, purple, and orange. They are made by combining our primary colors. Tertiary colors occur by mixing equal parts of our primary and secondary colors together. Thus, our full 12-color color wheel is formed. But what about all the other colors? Different colors are made when you take any of the 12 hues, aka colors, add or subtract saturation, add or subtract value, also known as tint, tone, and shade, and that's it. Got it? Alright, let's break this down properly. In some ways, it's much easier to look at color in a rectangular gradient. Here's why. On the right, in that long colorful rectangle, are our hues. The hues probably are familiar, as they are the same as our color wheel. The hues are each color at its most saturated. The saturation in our model here is on the x-axis. Saturation is essentially how vibrant a color appears. Ever seen an old Kodachrome image? This now extinct 35mm film stock was known for its high saturation. But what does it look like when we lower the saturation? The color becomes more muted and really changes. And how about if we lower it all the way? The image becomes grayscale, or black and white as we call it in photography. But the image isn't just black and white. And that is because of value, which can be described as lightness and darkness. Value can be viewed on our y-axis and consists of three parts: tint, tone, and shade. When you add white to a hue, it is known as tint. When you add gray to a hue, it is known as tone. When you add black to a hue, it is known as shade.
As you can imagine, the way we form colors is crucial in color mixing for oil. When we mix our color oils from our primaries, we begin to form many different hues and get really specific about the color of our floors. But how do we choose what colors to use? This brings us to palette.
So what's a palette? This is a palette, and this is a palette. A palette, when speaking of color, means a particular range, quality, or use of color. Or to put it simply, what colors we use in a certain project. If this feels daunting, don't fret. There are some simple color harmonies that can help us with this process. Color harmonies are different combinations of colors that go well together. First, we have complementary colors. These are colors directly across from each other that work well and provide a nice, high contrast. Analogous colors are colors that sit next to one another and form a nice, soothing combination that is easy to utilize. Next is monochromatic, which uses one hue and variations in the tint, tone, and shade to create pleasing and easy combinations. After that, we have triadic harmony. Triadic harmony utilizes colors evenly spaced on our color wheel that complement each other well. You might recognize this triadic combination as it displays our primary colors as well as our secondary colors, and so on. Last, we have our tetradic harmony, which consists of two sets of complementary colors, usually displayed as a rectangle. This combination forms a good foundation when one of the colors is used as a main color and the other three are used as accent colors. For more helpful videos and other deeper dives, please go to www.ledcodingsolutions.com.
Now that you've got some color theory under your belt, and before we get to CRI, let's learn about color temperature.
Color temperature is an extremely important part of how we perceive light in the visual world. Color temperature must always be considered as we plan and install floors in a space. But why? The simple answer is that our floors will vary greatly depending on the color of the floors and the light shown on those floors. So what is color temperature? Color temperature is sometimes referred to as CCT, or correlated color temperature. Color temperature is defined as the light color emitted by a black body when it's heated to certain temperatures. Instead of the temperature units we're used to, like Fahrenheit and Celsius, color temperature is measured in kelvins. Now this all might seem a bit technical, but color temperature really does stem from observations in the natural world. Most likely, you see all of these light sources pretty frequently, if not every day. Each generates a very different color temperature and has a specific Kelvin number as a result. The lower the Kelvin number, the warmer the light source is. The higher the Kelvin number, the cooler the light source is, or more on the blue spectrum.
A great way to take this learning further is by getting a color temperature app for your phone. The Light Spectrum Pro app allows you to quickly get Kelvin readings on a light source while also displaying the color spectrum of the light source as well. Now let's talk about how this all relates to floors.
Different types of wood naturally have a variety of different colors. And then, depending on the color of our oil, we can get wildly different color results. Let's look at a small sample of a walnut floor lit at 2600 Kelvin. Walnut is often dark and usually falls in our warmer spectrum with natural browns and yellows. But watch how much our color changes with different color temperatures. As you can see, the wood takes on such different qualities as we go from a warm light source to a cool one. The color becomes much more gray and washed out and starts to fall more and more on the cooler end of our color spectrum. So what does this mean? Unless you're in a dark room with the lights always on, the color of the floor is going to shift a little bit throughout the day. But that's okay. As floors, it's important to consider how colors work together in a space and how that space might make us feel. What kind of space are we flooring? Is it a bright apartment where someone is working from home? Cooler colors mimic daylight and can be energizing as a result. Or is it a homey, comfortable living room most enjoyed in the evening? Or maybe you consider a variety of moods in a single space, utilizing bulbs across the color spectrum.
These days, you can even achieve all of our temperatures with a single adjustable smart bulb. So whether we're flooring a hospital, a home, a painting gallery, or showing a client how your wood sample might change color in their space depending on the lighting,
color temperature can define the way we experience the spaces we inhabit. For more helpful videos and other deeper dives, please go to www.ledcodingsolutions.com.
Now that we've explored color theory and color temperature, let's talk about the last variable in our color study, CRI.
Ever wonder why color looks so different under different types of light sources? The answer might seem obvious: the color of the light, the intensity of the light. And while these variables do play a part, there is another measure of light that most accurately determines color, and that is CRI. CRI stands for Color Rendering Index and is defined as a light source's ability to accurately display color in comparison to a natural and standard light source. 100 CRI is the value given to daylight and our most accurate measure of color. This sounds technical, but it's actually a very simple concept. Let's break it down. CRI is generally measured from 0 to 100, with 100 being our highest value, but there technically is no lower limit.
A light's CRI value is its R value, which, in short, is calculated by averaging a light source's ability to reflect these colors accurately. These colors represent a wide spectrum of hues that we encounter often in the visual world. The individual R numbers are calculated by comparing the colors to a light source with 100 CRI. Okay, that's a lot of info. Let's do a sample test.
There are some highly technical equations that help us calculate our CRI value, but let's just go with the simple route. First, we must make sure our sources have the exact same color temperature for our tests. Next, we shine the sources on our sample colors. You probably can see that our lower light source provides a much duller color on our sample colors. Thus, through comparing the two, we can determine that our light source on the bottom has a CRI value of 70. Check out this very simple comparison of the same apple illuminated by different CRIs. The intensity of the light is the same, the color temperature is the same, the only difference between the light sources is the CRI. It's easy to see that the CRI values in the 70s to 80s produced a much more desaturated result. You can also see that, in this case, the lower CRI values look much more magenta than red.
As we go about flooring different spaces, each project will have different and specific color choices to be made. Look how vibrant and varied these oil finishes are. It would be a serious shame to see such beautiful colors washed out in a space. That's why when mixing oil colors together and bringing a sample to a client, we must make sure it's always being viewed at a 100 CRI light to show the full color potential.
Now, we're not getting super technical because the truth is, you're probably not going to be measuring the CRI from scratch that often. However, CRI plays a huge role as we go about designing spaces and choosing the best lighting for a space. In the modern world, there are many different types of light bulbs. Displayed is the typical CRI of these common light bulb types. Now, why wouldn't we always just choose lights with a high CRI? Of course, this would be ideal, but we must consider cost, energy efficiency, and application of these lights. Now, note that these values are bound to fluctuate a bit. It's pretty easy to tell that the best overall light, which is quickly becoming the norm, is the LED light. Fluorescent lights are still used for their cost-effective, high light output, while sodium bulbs are mostly used for outdoor night lighting, like a street lamp. However, sodium bulbs are not the most eco-conscious, and slowly being replaced by LED bulbs as well.
Now the truth is LED can now get up to 100 CRI, but are still very expensive for 100 CRI bulbs. For the time being, incandescent bulbs may be our most cost-effective tools for color accuracy.
100 CRI is often used in painting galleries, retail, or any space where color is extremely important for the viewer. To mimic daylight safely, 100 CRI is used in the incubators of newborns to get them used to true light cycles throughout the day. Most indoor residential spaces use incandescent or LED lights, while factories, supermarkets, and other commercial spaces often use long fluorescent bulbs. Lastly, the sodium bulbs are really only used outside in a utilitarian way to light streets and landscaping at night for safety or aesthetics.
As you can see, CRI has many uses, especially for floorers. So whether you're trying on a pair of pants or explaining what true color is to a client for their floors,
maybe with one of ScanGrip's LED 100 CRI work lights, CRI has many professional and artful uses in our spaces. For more helpful videos and other deeper dives, please go to www.ledcoatingsolutions.com.